On this Thursday night, a victory for carbon pricing in Canada's highest court. The Supreme Court ruling on putting a price on pollution, what it means, and the reaction.
I think it's unfortunate. It's an ineffective policy.
Oh my God, it's hit in there. Multiple states of emergency in the southern U.S. tonight as dangerous tornadoes touch down. And an update on that ship wedged in the Suez Canal. Is it any closer to getting unstuck? And exceptional exhibit.
I think we're very blessed to have a centre like this.
The world's largest Inuit art museum opens in Winnipeg.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin with a significant ruling from the Supreme Court of Canada. In a 6-3 decision, it has ruled the federal government has the power to set a minimum price on carbon, a big victory for the Trudeau government. The top court says climate change is real, and this matter is critical to our response to an existential threat to human life in Canada and around the world. The majority of judges ruled no one province, territory, or country can address the issue of climate change on its own. It makes it clear carbon pricing is not a tax, but a regulatory mechanism to induce behavioural changes that will lead to widespread reductions in emissions. And it ruled any province's failure to act threatens Canada's ability to meet its international obligations, which in turn hinders Canada's ability to push for international action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Therefore, a provincial failure to act directly threatens Canada as a whole. It was Conservative premiers in 3 provinces, Alberta, Ontario, and Saskatchewan, who challenged the Liberal carbon pricing plan. Today, they lost.
The Supreme Court decision does not change our core conviction that the federal carbon tax is bad environmental policy, it's bad economic policy, and it just simply is wrong.
This may end the legal challenges, but not the political battles. Eric Sorensen has our top story tonight.
It was never as simple as a fight between federal Liberals and provincial Conservatives. It was a debate over the historic division of constitutional powers between Ottawa and the provinces. It came down to the harm from climate change, what the court deemed as a threat of the highest order to the country, and Ottawa's response, a national carbon tax. In a landmark ruling from the Supreme Court, 6 of the 9 justices declared that climate change is real. Chief Justice Wagner wrote for the majority, the harmful effects of greenhouse gases are, by their very nature, not confined by borders, adding, Parliament has the jurisdiction to enact this law as a matter of national concern under the Peace, Order and Good Government Clause of the Constitution.
This is an historic day for Canada and for our planet, for the economy, and for all Canadians for generations to come.
The Supreme Court heard challenges from 3 provinces, Alberta, Saskatchewan and Ontario, that the law infringes on provincial jurisdiction. Alberta's premier quoted a dissenting justice that the decision turns provincial autonomy on its head. In Jason Kenney's view, the West is being treated unfairly.
And no, we're not going to back down on defending our jobs, our economy, and our powers under the Federation.
But he did accept reality.
Obviously, it's a majority decision of the Supreme Court. There's no court that we can appeal this to.
Is it time to move on? Ontario's premier, an opponent of the tax, did not speak out today. And the Canadian Chamber of Commerce welcomed the certainty. The decision, it says, provides important clarity that businesses require to make investments.
It's key for these provinces to move forward with a strong climate plan, to make sure that they're really positioning their provinces to be competitive in a decarbonizing global economy.
For the Liberals, it is a clear road ahead. Its plan will boost the price on carbon this year to $40 a tonne, and it will rise to $170 a tonne by 2030. Real financial costs to Canadians for burning fossil fuels that are being offset with rebates from Ottawa. Still, the federal Conservatives say they will scrap the carbon tax and replace it with a better plan, still to be announced.
And Conservatives will focus relentlessly on recovering from the recession, creating jobs, and we will have a plan to reduce emissions.
This is a moment for the Conservatives to use the opportunity of the court case to say, we fought as hard as we could. They've been given an exit door by the Supreme Court's decision. They all need to take it.
The Supreme Court has settled the question over Ottawa's power to legislate on climate change, but with a federal election coming, the political fight over climate policies is not over yet. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
There was a big shift on carbon pricing in the American oil and gas industry today. The American Petroleum Institute, a trade group that represents 600 companies, including Chevron and ExxonMobil, has endorsed putting a price on carbon. It signals the industry, which is a huge greenhouse gas emitter, would prefer a quantifiable cost associated with climate policy rather than changing government regulations. President Biden is preparing to unveil a sweeping infrastructure proposal focused on curbing greenhouse gas emissions and transitioning to clean energy. Now to the threat from COVID-19. According to the federal government, more than 10% of Canadians have now been given at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. That works out to more than 3.8 million people. The federal government says it expects a steady flow of vaccine deliveries in the weeks ahead, but the virus is spreading faster than the vaccines are rolling out, driven by those more contagious new variants, and that is leading to rising case counts and stark warnings.
We are in a precarious position. Daily cases are increasing, and hospitalizations are increasing, and ICU numbers are increasing.
In terms of active cases per capita, Alberta is hardest hit right now. It has 148 cases per 100,000 people. That's followed by Saskatchewan, BC, and then Ontario. And a growing number of cases in those provinces are the new variants. Ontario reported more than 2,000 new cases today, the first time since January. The number has been that high. The province's top COVID advisors believe new variants now account for about 55% of new cases there. To get Canadians protected as fast as possible, officials are urging people to accept whichever vaccine they are offered. There has been confusion and concern over the Oxford-AstraZeneca vaccine, including a small number of reports in Europe of extremely rare blood clots. There have not been any reports of blood clots in this country, though Health Canada has added a warning about the potential side effect. As Heather Yourex-West reports, the agency still firmly believes the shot is safe and effective.
Lindsay Mollick has been vaccinated against COVID-19.
I have, and it was AstraZeneca, and I don't feel at all worried about it.
The Toronto woman has listened to the seemingly endless amount of news around this particular vaccine, information that seems to be updated by the day.
Yesterday, in an effort to provide Canadians with the most complete and up-to-date information possible, Health Canada announced that it has updated the product label for the AstraZeneca and Covishield vaccines.
The new warning label comes after a small number of patients experienced serious blood clots within 2 weeks of receiving the AstraZeneca vaccine.
In Canada, the provinces have administered over 300,000 doses of the Covishield version of the AstraZeneca vaccine, and we have not received any domestic reports of these rare events.
The country's top doctors maintain the vaccine is safe and effective, but this infectious disease specialist knows many Canadians are now feeling confused.
I think so. We're already seeing a lot of that. So people are asking so many questions about AstraZeneca vaccine, and how can inconsistent information with poor communication not affect people's take on the vaccine.
Despite the new warning, Dr. Constantinescu says real-world data has shown this is a good vaccine. In a new analysis of its major U.S. trial data, AstraZeneca now says its vaccine is 76% effective against symptomatic COVID-19 and 100% effective against hospitalization.
The reason I took the vaccine was I want to stay out of the hospital and I don't want to die.
Which is why, when given the opportunity, Lindsay Mollick says the AstraZeneca vaccine was good enough for her. Heather Yourex-West, Global News, Calgary.
There is trouble ahead for COVAX, the global initiative to get COVID-19 vaccines to countries in need. Organizers have confirmed they will be affected by India's decision to pause all major exports of AstraZeneca vaccine produced there so it can focus on its domestic needs. Organizers say they've been told deliveries from the Serum Institute of India will be delayed in March and April. The Serum Institute is a key player in the initiative to help dozens of lower-income countries inoculate their populations. The federal Auditor General had some good news and some bad news today about some of the most expensive programs the federal government has ever put together. The AG gave high marks to the government on the rollout of the COVID relief programs, though as David Aiken reports, she also found Canada was not prepared for the pandemic.
Auditor General Karen Hogan handed out rare high praise to the government for its signature pandemic relief programs, the Canada Emergency Response Benefit and the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy.
They prioritized the speed of getting support to individuals and businesses, and then made adjustments in real time.
But Hogan was sharply critical of the Trudeau government's so-called Investing in Canada plan. That's the multi-year $188 billion plan launched in 2016 to underwrite new infrastructure. Hogan said the plan is a mess. Money is not flowing fast enough, and reporting is inconsistent.
The absence of clear and complete reporting on the Investing in Canada plan makes it difficult for parliamentarians and Canadians to know whether progress is being made against the intended objectives.
Hogan also rapped the Public Health Agency of Canada for failing to fix problems first identified more than 20 years ago.
The agency had not planned for nor prepared for a nationwide quarantine.
The health minister said that will be fixed.
Every country, as I said, is going to be reviewing lessons learned, and there will be a full review of the Public Health Agency of Canada.
The Auditor General also found that the government did a haphazard job in the first few months of the pandemic tracking inbound international travelers thought to be a high risk of violating quarantine orders.
I want to acknowledge that the consistent application of these new border measures across all ports of entry can be improved.
Finally, Hogan looked ahead, saying her office has plenty of work to do on pandemic-related audits, including tracking the government's performance on vaccine distribution and procurement. Look for that vaccine verdict this fall. David Aiken, Global News, Ottawa.
Residents in New Brunswick are hoping more answers will come soon about a mysterious cluster of cases of people with a neurological disorder. 43 cases have now been identified. 5 people have died. The disease appears to be concentrated in the Acadian Peninsula and the Moncton region. It affects all age groups and its origin is unknown. Health officials are investigating and public anxiety is growing.
So people who think that they have that disease right now, they think they all pass through the emotion that no cure, and the end is dead. I'm not sure this is the right answer they should need right now. So please help those people as fast as possible.
New Brunswick's top doctor says no stone would be left unturned in a collaborative investigation that includes neurological experts and various government agencies. The high-profile investigation into sexual misconduct allegations against Canada's top general took another turn today. Canada's military watchdog rejected the defense minister's claims about what powers his office had to look into the complaint. The contradiction came to light in testimony before a House of Commons committee investigating the matter. And as our Ottawa Bureau Chief Mercedes Stevenson reports, it is raising questions about the best way to protect victims who come forward.
Current reporting structure of the Ombudsman.
Canada's military watchdog delivered powerful testimony on Parliament Hill that Defence Minister Harjit Sajjan was the right person to hear allegations of sexual misconduct against Canada's former top general.
This is a critical point that needs to be made in order to correct the record. Had I been faced with the same facts, I would have done exactly as my predecessor did.
Military Ombudsman Gregory Lick pointed out Sajjan was the only person his predecessor, Gary Walborn, could have brought the allegations to under the circumstances.
The current reporting structure of the Ombudsman is directly to the Minister of National Defence, not to the Privy Council office or any other body.
The testimony is a direct public contradiction of Minister Sajjan's claims that it would have been inappropriate for him to hear the concerns or receive evidence.
I'm sorry. No politician should ever be directing investigation, getting involved in investigation. That's absolutely wrong.
The senior military police officer who commands the Canadian Forces National Investigation Service, the military police unit currently handling allegations against 2 consecutive chiefs of the defence staff, also appeared to cast doubt on the Defence Minister and Prime Minister's assertions that Sajjan accepting evidence of misconduct or taking that to the police would have constituted political interference.
Asking me to examine and look at would not be interference. Interference would be improper conduct during the investigation as it relates to the CFNIS.
The testimony comes one day after Sajjan intervened, asking the Chief of the Defence Staff General Wayne Eyre to review a Navy investigation into alleged sexual misconduct, which concluded without interviewing all complainants or witnesses. On Wednesday afternoon, the CDS announced he was ending Operation Honor, the military's mission to stamp out sexual misconduct, saying Operation Honor has culminated, and thus we will close it out, harvest what has worked, learn from what hasn't, and develop a deliberate plan to go forward. The decision came after many victims have said they felt Op Honor was ineffective and poisoned. With Op Honor now over, the question is, what comes next? And as for the defense minister, his office says he has always reported any allegations to the appropriate authorities. Donna?
All right, Mercedes in Ottawa, thanks. The southern U.S. on high alert. Coming up, the warnings about dangerous weather on the way. Meanwhile, in Canada, the fare-evading commuter who shut down a subway station.
Oh my God, it's been in there. It's right here.
There are reports of fatalities in Alabama tonight and reports of several tornadoes touching down. A state of emergency is in effect in dozens of counties as a severe weather system generating tornadoes blows through. It has snapped trees, destroyed homes, and downed power lines. The National Weather Service has issued a rare tornado emergency, and it is calling the situation particularly dangerous. The man accused of killing 10 people in a Colorado grocery store made his first court appearance today. The judge ordered the 21-year-old be held without bail. He faces 10 charges of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. The district attorney said more charges are likely. Investigators are still working at the crime scene. Police say the man opened fire with an assault-style weapon, and among those killed was a police officer and father of 7 who responded to the call. The accused did not enter a plea today. His lawyer says she needs more time to assess his mental health. If convicted, he faces life in prison without parole. In Washington, President Biden held his first formal news conference since taking office, and he ducked a question on gun control. He did say North Korea is the biggest foreign policy threat facing the U.S. right now. That country has again test-fired ballistic missiles. It's believed they were 2 short-range missiles that flew about 450 kilometers before landing in the Sea of Japan. Biden says the U.S. is consulting with allies and will respond if things escalate. Experts say North Korea is looking to expand its military capabilities and ramp up pressure on the Biden administration to restart nuclear talks. Former President Trump abandoned those negotiations in 2018. The Ever Given won't give. Still ahead, the struggle to clear the giant ship clogging a key trade route.
You're watching Global National.
Tugboats, dredgers, and that little backhoe have failed to free that huge container ship stuck in the Suez Canal. Teams of experts from Japan and the Netherlands have now arrived to assess the situation. It's described as like a heavy whale that has beached. It's blocking traffic in both directions, and it may take weeks to free the vessel, causing a new setback for global trade.
It means that the flow of goods is not going to be as rapid as before until the canal is clear.
Roughly 30% of the world's shipping container volume moves through the Suez Canal every day. At least 150 vessels are now waiting to pass through the canal. Well, road signs are a critical component keeping traffic flowing, and it generally helps to spell the signs correctly. The person who painted this one near Rome could have used spell check. The letters are all there, just in the wrong order. The mayor posted this picture, and it wasn't long before order was restored and stop was properly spelled. Next, a first for the world, a look inside a new gallery showcasing an unrivaled collection. There is now one place in the world to see the largest public collection of Inuit art, and it's right in the heart of Canada. The Winnipeg Art Gallery has just opened Kalmayuk, a stunning new gallery that adds nearly 40,000 square feet to the existing building in downtown Winnipeg, a place to educate and inspire visitors, showcasing 14,000 pieces of Inuit artwork. Its inaugural exhibition opens today with a virtual event, and tonight Global's Marnie Blunt gives us a peek inside.
It's moments like this that give Maureen Grubin inspiration for her artwork.
My inspiration mostly comes from my environment that I grew up with here in the Arctic on the shores of the Beaufort Sea.
Collecting bones and fur, working with ice and other raw materials, gathered near her home community of Tuktoyaktuk. Grubin often blends the nature of the Arctic with industrial materials.
My work is inspired by this land, the ice.
Many of her pieces ingrained with a powerful message, preserving the Arctic ice, speaking for the polar bears, or helping the environment by highlighting the impact of climate change.
They just come through me. I just feel like I'm the conduit, and these works just come through me.
She's one of nearly 90 artists featured at Kalmayuk, the new Inuit art center at the Winnipeg Art Gallery. The 40,000 square foot facility bridges Canada's north and south, showcasing Inuit art and providing a place for research.
We've exhibited and published more than any museum in the world, but we've never been able to kind of share more than probably 1% of the collection at any time.
Grubin's piece, Waiting for the Shaman, consists of polar bear bone paws and is part of Inua, the center's inaugural exhibit.
I think we're very blessed to have a center like this where we can showcase our work and celebrate our ancestral talents.
It was one of my dreams to be having one of my work shown in the old Winnipeg Art Gallery. So I've been working toward this goal, this dream, for about 25 years.
Labrador artist Shirley Morehouse has two pieces at Inua. Both have deep-rooted messages of preserving memories and the environment.
I'm blessed to have it, make it aesthetically beautiful, but I always try to have a conversation somehow.
And now Kalmayuk provides a global platform for those conversations. Marnie Blunt, Global News, Winnipeg.
And that is Global National for this Thursday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Here in Canada is about as Canadian as it gets. This eager beaver was spotted early this morning in a Toronto subway station. No idea of its destination or whether it paid the nickel fare. That's a special rate for beavers. Animal services were called and the beaver was safely escorted back into the wild. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.